Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here, and we're back with our weekly Q&A. This is season 14, episode 14, and we're going to do something a little different today because my partner in crime is sick, and the footage this week was too good to pass up, so I'm going to try to do this on my own for the first time, I think more than 10 years, the Q&A, and we'll probably keep it a little bit short because the focus is actually the footage and not the Q&A. It is Regime Hot Girl, and because this season what we've been doing is using footage of who we believe the upcoming challenge character is going to be. If we miss this week, we miss our opportunity to show you just how good Regime Hot Girl is. And we'll go into more detail this Thursday when we do our weekly recap. But Regime Hot Girl is really, really good. Now, the Hot Girl skin you usually see on our channel is Hot Girl Prime, and you're seeing her now too because she is absolutely S tier, no doubt. Regime Hot Girl is pretty close because of her passive. So her passive is Shock and Awe. When Hot Girl tags in, she disables all opponents' special attacks for 5 seconds. If she gets 200% on Special 2, it will become a critical hit. So that's 2 elements. The 4-hit Special 2 is pretty good. The first hit is not ranged, but it is also low damage and has no status effect. So if we miss it, it's not a great loss. If you look at the numbers that we're getting, it's ballpark, not exactly. Ballpark maybe 10%, 40%, 40%, and 10%. So you're going to get the benefit of 90% of her attack being guaranteed crit, because let's face it, that tap circle minigame, super easy to get 200%. The separation between the 2 main hits, between hits 2 and 3, the delay is long enough so that if hit number 2 knocks out the opponent, the 3rd hit will can connect on the opponent that's tagging in, so you don't waste a bunch of the damage. And I'm not sure about the separation of the other hits, but it almost doesn't matter nearly as much because they do so little damage. If you lose, so first it's really tiny 10% chance of it knocking somebody out and missing on the second hit on the tagging opponent. Super unlikely. And if you knock them out with the 3rd hit, 40%, that 10% at the end, also not worth very much. So I haven't been really paying attention. And so the way we talk about and think about the timing is really the end result. How much of the damage of the Special 2 gets wasted. And in this case, not a lot. Disabling specials for 5 seconds, though, that other part of her passive, is amazing. And one example you're going to see around the 10.5 minute mark is how easily we handle Killing Joker's passive of giving his teammates full power when he gets knocked out at around, did I say 10:30 mark? 10.5 minutes into it. Because there's a bunch of different ways you can try to manage Killing Joker. One is wait him out. Wait until he tags out, knock him out last. That's a big waste of time. I'm a big fan of being able to motor through a team and just, take whatever's in front of you. And this is pretty spectacular because when you tag in and out, when you've got somebody who can disable specials, and then you alternate with somebody who can use and leverage Enchantress Companion Gear, the Skulls coming in, which also disables specials, even though that's not what it says on the card. It's effectively what it does. You can tag back and forth. Because we've got Claw of Horus on Regime Hot Girl, it's not even indefinite. Doesn't matter if they've got Astro Harness, doesn't matter if they've got Lexicor Gauntlets, and we can drain power, but we also give them power. All you have to do is strip the gears, keep on tagging back and forth until you've stripped all the gears, alternating between Rebirth Raven and Regime Hot Girl. And yeah, really nothing can stand in your way. And what I love especially about Regime Hot Girl is it's not just that she disables specials, though. That second part of her passive makes her special 2 disproportionately more powerful than somebody else with a similar attack stat. This is one of the benefits of forcing ourselves to play with characters that we normally wouldn't. You realize that sometimes you realize your first impression of a character is exactly that. They don't offer anything more, but Regime Hawk Girl, spectacular. Yeah. Oh, and there's going to be other footage too. One of the other interesting things that we didn't realize until we played with Regime Hawk Girl a lot more, she is the only character that is vulnerable in the middle of her special 2. And what I mean by that is, I've never seen another character who has a special when they're doing in the middle of a special and Rebirth Raven tags in because we've knocked out one of her teammates and we've still got hits coming up. She can still see our power in the middle of our special. Never seen that before anywhere else. In fact, there's other characters where they finish hitting an opponent, and because they've got enough animation at the end of their special, that still protects that character from having their power stolen when Rebirth Raven tags in. Like, I think Batgirl Prime, she has enough of an animation after special 1, she's not vulnerable. Rebirth Raven can steal Regime Hawk Girl's power in the middle of her special 2. Not always. And I think it might be the timing of the hits and which gaps in her special 2 leave her vulnerable. And I'll leave that to you to examine. So it was other footage, and it was around, I think, the 9-minute mark. But what I might do is just either it'll be around, I guess, the 20-minute mark if this video lasts long. But because I'm, on my own, I'm going to keep this relatively short. So I might just tag that or tack that on as the fight at the end of everything after the credits. Okay? So we'll do a couple questions, and we'll start with Mr. Kakaroto 43X. The cloud button doesn't show when I try the challenge reset glitch. Can I get some help with that? We get this question a lot. Probably worth rehashing one more time. Not on our weekly update or a monthly update of the glitches. So the cloud button only shows up when your Google ID is logged in properly. So that requires you to have an internet connection. It requires you to have your Google ID working, and it requires you to be logged in to Google with Injustice. So if all those things are true and you just clear app data, so instead of doing the full challenge reset glitch, if you clear app data and then you restart the game and log in properly, the cloud must show up, or you failed one of the other places. If the cloud shows up that way and not when you've been trying the reset glitch, then you know that what's happening is that you're disconnecting from the internet too early. But if you don't disconnect from the internet at all and it doesn't show up, you've got a completely different problem, and it's one of those other elements that's failed you. And I guess this is one of those kind of questions where we need some follow-up answers before we can actually do anything more with that. So get back to us, Mr. Kakaroto 43X, if you have more questions. All right, so next question comes from M-Dog Clash Royale. And they say, would you ever consider creating a gold character tier list in the future? I mean, we never say never. There's lots of things that people have suggested to us that we thought no chance, and then we eventually ended up doing because it became possible and it was sort of festering at the back of our minds. But I'm pretty confident saying that this is something that we're very unlikely to do. As a straight up gold character list, almost certainly not. But I'll tell you what, we did something almost better. And it was in season 12 of our Q&A. And every week we did some of our favorite teams. And why that's better than a gold list is everybody who is making Injustice lists, maybe not everybody, most of the lists that we see online in the subreddit, in the forums back when the Warner Brothers had a proper forum, in GameFAQs, people picked the characters that they liked and analyzed them in isolation. And I think that does a disservice to the teams and the characters, because so here's the thing. There's a ton of different things you can do. And this is one of the failures when people ask us about which teams and whatever, because unless you have everything available to you, part of what your limitation is going to be is just what's in your collection. If you don't have it, you can't use it. A common question that we get would be, so if we don't have this character, if we don't have this gear, what do we do? So considering all those different possibilities of what you don't have made no sense to us. So we looked at, from the entire pool of characters, entire pool of gears, how would you optimize something? But then the next, and some people would do that, but the next step that people typically didn't do was, what about the teams? Very rarely are you in the middle of a fight and you don't have 3 characters. And there is absolutely synergy that happens with the passes of different characters that you can leverage. And if you're thinking of characters in isolation, you're going to come up with a very different answer than if you think of what are you doing with these characters together. And it's one of the reasons why in our tier list, I mean, we didn't do a complete gold list, but we did, we've talked over time about who we consider absolute S tier characters. And they're very often characters that other people don't put up there. Because it seems pretty obvious that if you want to look at characters in isolation, and if they had nobody else helping them and nothing else going on, who the best characters would be. I think Injustice Superman ranks right up there. Arkham Knight Batman is good. But I think the absolute S tier characters are characters that we're using most weeks. I think Hawkgirl, 100% S tier. Not only can she do something that nobody else can, what she does is ridiculously good. I think Batgirl is probably S tier, even though she has lower stats, because her team passive of giving power is pretty much as good as it gets. And she's still got a great offensive potential if you give her a special one with the splash damage loadout, or just maximizing your special with the stun damage loadout. And she, despite having low stats, she's still right up there among the top characters that can really dominate a fight. She can be your main damage dealer and still be great support for the rest of the team. I love Rebirth Raven. I think being able to steal power like she does is also unmatched. So if you look at Season 12, we talk a lot about how much teammates have an influence on how good a character is, and why the teams that we picked for that season were so good. So not only do we talk about it, but we demonstrate it and we show you. Season 12, not too long ago. Absolutely. I think it might not be the actual answer to your request for a gold character list, but I think it is our best answer to how do we decide who's really good. Should we have time for more? Yeah, all right. Yeah, maybe we do one more. A really old one. Jose Dirte says, I'm that guy on Injustice. Currently using Hawkgirl, Batgirl, and Killer Frost. On offense, they just rail teams in 11 seconds or less. But on defense, they get destroyed 6 out of 10 times. Been playing this game for 10 years, but started augmenting my characters. Is Survivor really the only way to get a hold of augment cards? Can't get past fight 11 or 6 last laugh tickets. Or less is a few and far between, honestly, like far. Side note, have you noticed profiles using evolved cards like the metal cards, but on regular cards? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they're saying. But, all right, so, I mean, this is the nature of the game, right? The teams, the best example of how much better a human player is than the defense was the argument against nerfing Red Lantern Hal Jordan. So for those of you who were around at the time, when Red Lantern Hal Jordan was released, not only was he really good because his power didn't go down when he used it, it just stayed at 3 bars. So you could just do things repeatedly. You did not have to wait for his power to rebuild. You could just go boom, 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 boom. And why that made him great was not just that you could do the next hit really quickly, but if you were using Astro Harness, you could do supers repeatedly without losing any in-game time and without losing your invulnerability, so you didn't lose any health at all. And the developers nerfed it. But the reason why it seemed like such a silly thing to do was it's not even like he was unbeatable. In order to actually take advantage of that strategy, you had to consciously spam the super or the specials. And the AI never did that. So as much as people complained about how overpowered Red Lantern Hal Jordan was, it didn't make the game frustrating, because when you're fighting Red Lantern Hal Jordan, he wasn't actually that good. And I mean, the next part was that his special 2 did more than the stated damage. And then after they nerfed him, not only did they change it so that his power had to recharge, but they also made it so that his special 2 did less damage than what was stated on his card. So it's not surprising, Jose, that you've got a team that does really great on offense. And I would even go so far as to say that if they only get destroyed 6 out of 10 times and they won 4 out of 10 fights, that's actually pretty good. What's the other part of the question? So augmented characters. Is Survivor really the only way you get a hold of augmented cards? For practical purposes, yes. I think every once in a while they used to have special packs and they'd have some augmentation cards, but those were not that common and you couldn't get enough in a significant way. I think there were some packs that used to have like a ton of... I mean, it's been so long since I bought any packs. Aren't some of the nth metal packs, they have augmentations, but usually for experience? Not that useful, right? And if you can't get past Fight 11, I mean, that's not really a great loss. We did have a video back when Survivor was fewer fights where we finished Survivor. We actually completed it. And when you get to the higher levels, there is a satisfaction of finishing the fight and beating them. But it takes too long. Even when you're good, even when you have the right strategy, it's not a time-efficient way to farm for last laugh tickets. So you're almost better off finishing 11, 12 fights at the most, because anything after that, it drags on. And listen, last laugh tickets are great. Augmentation cards are super important, especially the critical ones. I would even go so far as to say that if I didn't have any damage or health augmentations, I wouldn't really care. That it's all critical. Whether it's the chance of critical hits or the damage on critical hits, those are the augmentation cards that really matter. And I think that's it for this week. I mean, I think you're getting more content than I planned on. There's only one of us, and you're getting more than half a regular Q&A. So I hope that was worth the trouble. I hope you're enjoying the footage of Regime Hawk Girl, because she really is pretty great. Okay, and this is where we like to give a big thank you to our patrons on Patreon. That's Michael Devries, Irvin, Ruiz, Hoshi127, Nora Klimek, and Miguel, who are supporting us on the credited level. And a big thank you to you for watching. We'll see you next time. Komoda.